have Lindsay Jones here today. Jones Real Estate. Is that what it's called? Jones. Sell with Jones.
Sell with Jones.
Thank you. So, welcome to the podcast. Always wanted to have you on. I do consider you the queen of real estate, so hopefully that's okay to say. Talked to Chris a while ago, and I said I got to have your wife on, but I want to have him on separately. He did sell me a piece of property a year ago, so I think he gave you the credit for it. So we'll talk about that later. But so yeah, welcome. What's going on today? Anything new with real estate right now?
We're in the thick of our busy season, so it's just a little bit of something different every day right now.
So it ebbs and flows with everything else.
Yes.
Yeah. Is what does drive that market? Like I remember like '08 was a really hot real estate time, and then it dipped and it came back, and like a couple of years it was on fire. Like what do you think drives that, like that up and down in the market?
So a couple years ago, I think the biggest thing were the interest rates dropped. So everybody wanted to buy, and then there wasn't enough inventory, and so that drove prices up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of got away from that for a couple of years, and then I think now, more recently, I've seen the most multiple offer situations that I have in a long time,
Mm-hmm.
where I don't know that the interest rates have really done anything different, but I think people have just realized that they're kind of where they are for right now, and if they want to make a move, they might as well go for it.
So, like, say what is an interest rate? I mean, I know what interest rates are, but what is like the average interest rate right now, roughly for residential? 6.5, 7?
So I honestly don't
I don't
follow
either.
it on a day-to-day basis, because it can vary so much depending on what type of loan someone is going to be utilizing, and so I always refer them
To the bank.
Yes, to their lender, their loan officer, who they're using to give them the most accurate number on that.
Yeah. Because you could refinance or finance, however you want to say that, tomato. So, like, if you do buy high, say it's 7%, and you pay that higher payment for a couple of years, and then interest rates drop, you refinance.
Yes.
I mean, you're in the money again, right?
Exactly.
So
hopefully in your dream home.
yeah. So do you help coach like people to think that way, or do you make them think that way on their own in terms of closing business?
It really just depends on what their situation is and what their motivation would be for moving. And so I try to help them see all the options. And if that would be the best option, if they're in a position where, they may not love the interest rate, but they are comfortable and able to afford that payment, and that is the house they really want, or they're in a life transition where they need to buy right now, then we'll talk about what that might look like, buying now and then refinancing later, or, kind of all the options.
Yeah. The multi-bid thing has been kind of fascinating to me because I hear rumblings. I mean, we do a lot of construction, so people are either buying a house, calling us to remodel, we're remodeling to sell, we're doing something to move something. But I've heard more of this lately, that people are basically fighting over houses at some point. Like it's either that good of a property or people just want to move that badly. I've heard horror stories of people losing friendships because they'll outbid each other, and then, whoever wins. But how is that being the realtor in that setting? Is it stressful? Is it?
It can be, yes. I mean, I think we see it more, below a certain price point, and a lot of first-time home buyers if there's low inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, because you always want to do the best for your clients. So we'll try to coach my buyers through writing the best offer that we can to hopefully win.
Yeah.
But as far as when these multiple offer situations come up, yes, it's usually price point based, or if it's like a large piece of land in Plainfield or an area where you don't see property like that available very often, then kind of regardless of price point, there'll be a lot of people looking.
So is inventory high right now, low right now, average?
I would say right now it's low to average. I definitely wouldn't.
So there's just not a ton of stuff out there.
No, I mean, there's definitely more now than there was, over the winter months, which that's typical. People typically will think of spring as being, the moving season, and, if they've got kids that, need to move, or school district situation, a lot of times, spring and summer are the ideal times to do that. I mean, we're still busy in the fall and throughout the year. I mean, really just during the holidays is when it kind of dips the most, because people don't want to move unless they have to that time.
Yeah, and I'm not political, but I know every 4 years or 8, whatever, when there is a change in office, I feel like that year just sucks for everybody. I feel like construction, like the leads are down a little bit. We're busy, but I've noticed it. I've noticed things have dipped a little bit until they figure out what a tariff is and all that stuff. But it doesn't matter what side of the aisle. That first year of change is just going to be tough for everybody, and we all have to figure out how to navigate through that. Interest rates for sure are a huge, huge part in, I think, all of our businesses right now.
Yes.
So that kind of stinks. But I always know what goes up will come down, and vice versa. So it doesn't stay like that forever. But I mean, if you have a house that you just can't live without, you're going to find a way to buy it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, do you ever have like people have buyer's remorse, like after they've been in and they're like, "Oh, I don't want this house anymore"? Is there anything like that?
I think I see it more so people will see a house, they love it, but maybe they've just started looking and they're like, well, we probably should look at some more before we make a decision. And it's actually happened a lot where they're like, I wish I would have made an offer on that first house.
Yeah.
I liked it better than any of these other ones we've seen, but you don't know till you don't know. So it's hard for me to, I don't want to come across as pushy, but I mean, I can just tell them from experience, like, you know.
That's a tough job.
Yeah.
That's a tough position to be in for you and any other realtor. It's like, it's the right decision, but you don't know what they're thinking. And it's like, hey, if you don't buy this, I know 3 others that probably will.
Exactly.
And you don't want to come off that way, but you're like, this is reality.
Yeah. And I mean, usually we'll end up finding something that they love and they're happy and it's fine. I don't really get the calls, shortly after, like, I wish I wouldn't have bought that. Now, maybe, a couple years down the road, they've decided that they need more space or something like that, and they'll call me again.
Yeah. So say somebody buys a house and they're in it for a month and they hate it. Is there like a time period where you can't resell it? Or can you sell it immediately?
No, we could turn around and sell it. Now, it probably wouldn't be very profitable for them to do that.
Yeah, I was wondering.
But absolutely, yeah, you can turn around and sell it. Now, the only thing that comes into play is if you, because we run into this with flipping properties, there's what's called an FHA, 90-day flip rule. So if we buy a property and flip it, it can't go FHA until at least 90 days after we bought it the first time.
Okay.
So kind of it would be the same thing. Even if it wasn't a flip, if somebody bought it and decided they wanted to turn around and sell it, I mean, you could go conventional, just not FHA for 90 days.
I know, like right now, the last probably 3 years, like we do a lot of whole house remodeling, and it can get a little emotional for the owner of the house because every draw is probably a significant one, and you're like, man, all this money I'm putting into this house, I could go out and buy something else, right? Yeah. And they do explore that. I mean, we're finishing one up right now here in town that he keeps saying, I could have built a brand new house for this. I'm like, you couldn't, but I mean, you could build the house itself, but the land, the septic, the well, all that, no, there's no way. You'd be way over. But I fight that too. And I always feel like I don't ever want to talk them into anything. Like, it's your decision. If you want to go find a house, you're still probably going to have to put $100,000 in it, to make it your own. A lot of people want to update a kitchen or a bathroom or what have you. So it's an interesting time to be alive, honestly, but to be in construction and real estate because it goes together so well. Yeah. Which I know Chris, your husband, he's a dear friend of mine, a very, very good friend of mine. He does a lot of construction. He does a lot of he likes to flip a house here and there. And I think he likes that because nobody bugs him.
Well, it's on his own timeline. He doesn't have anybody that's inconvenienced and out of their kitchen for an extended period of time asking him when it's going to be done.
He's responsible for Basham Construction. He's responsible for a lot of business owners. So he's talked a lot of people off that ledge, or not off the ledge, but pushed them, hey, go do this. You'll be just fine. So that's been very cool. He's been very awesome to me. So.
Well, I'm really glad that, you did take that leap of faith when you did, because I know you guys have been talking about it. And I mean, he grew up in a family with a lot of people who are self-employed, so that's just kind of what he's always known and seen. So and he's been successful.
I tell him I still remember exactly where I was standing. Is in my kitchen in the corner, and he's like, just do it. And then another guy, I won't mention his name, but we know he went out on his own and he's thriving. And I just think it's cool, and I think it needs to be noted when people do that, because that's a big deal. That's a big deal that says, hey, we believe in you, and vice versa. You'll be just fine.
Yeah.
And he's bounced a ton of ideas off of me, or I bounced a ton of ideas off of him, and vice versa, but we help each other. Like, we're, in a way, it's like a brotherhood. Like, hey, I need, my drywaller didn't show up. Well, hey, I got so-and-so, and vice versa. But he's been more helpful to me than I have been to him. But
well, no, I know you've helped him quite a bit because he's gotten in a bind where somebody wasn't available, or he's lost a sub and he's called you like, hey, who do you have?
But we look at it like, whatever you need. My book's your book, same thing. So I love that, and I wish maybe not society, but maybe not even here, but like there's other general contractors that I'm friends with. I don't look at them as enemies or competition, and they do wonderful work. Some of them do some really, really cool stuff that we just don't do. But there's some out there that they're so, I don't know if it's an insecurity. They're like, well, we can't talk to each other. Well, I know all the realtors know everybody. They all talk to each other.
Oh, yeah.
So why can't us contractors do the same thing? So I'm trying to change that culture, and Chris has been a huge part of that. I won't name names, but there's several right here in town that we're good friends. We don't hang out every day, but if they need something, they know I'll be there, and I hope the same from them.
Well, that's important to have a good working relationship.
So that's just
competitors, even.
That's just one thing. Cause let's talk about competitors, because I know, gosh dang, I know a lot of realtors.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you handle? I'm interested how you answer this. How do you handle if you've got like a group of friends and everybody sells their house, and they know 10 realtors? Like, it's uncomfortable. Like, you don't want to upset somebody, but you got to pick one. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah. So, I mean, thankfully I've never been on the side where I had to choose one, because of course I always want them to choose me but I understand that people have relationships with, if you look on the, town chatter sites and somebody asks for an agent within, 10 minutes, there's 200 suggestions. So I know there's plenty of us out there.
I don't get on the chatter pages.
Okay.
Do you get in on the chatter pages?
I don't comment on the chatter pages. I just like to scroll.
Yeah.
And see.
Yeah. I'm probably similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how would you, it's a tough one, because like Krista's a good friend of ours. She's a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know literally probably 100 realtors.
Well, and there's lots of great agents, and, I could, say nice things about many others. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I have developed thick skin, I think, over the years. And so if
you
I'm
are
not
the queen
chosen,
of real estate to me.
it's
I'm
okay.
dead serious. You are. I admire what you do. Your marketing, how you carry yourself in the community, how you build your team is just wonderful. So I've always wanted to have you on specifically because I think you do it better than everybody else.
Well,
you do. You
very
really
much.
do. But back to that picking the realtor piece. Like, I know when we bought our house where we live at here in town, like, it was a different realtor. I wasn't, I don't think we knew of each other, but we weren't like very close at that time.
Yeah.
And that wasn't on the market sale. So it was kind of a different situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we did a small project that did something with Chris, and he did the sales transaction on. And I told him, I said, I can't ever get another realtor. And he looks at me, Chris is a big boy. And he goes, why? I said, because you'll eat me. He laughed. He's like, hey, you can get anybody you want. I'm like, I know that, but it'll always be this way. It's just kind of, it's easy for me because most people know our relationship, Chris and I's relationship, and it's kind of an unsaid thing that people understand it. But for those that are in that position, it's a tough situation.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we'll have friends, and if they use someone else, it's because, they were loyal to that person in the past, and they feel the need to, continue being loyal, which I 100% respect, because I would like, someone to show me the same courtesy if I've helped them, and then they maybe meet someone else who gets into real estate, and, if they stuck with me, I would really appreciate that. But I understand, circumstances change, and I mean, I always ask to at least get the interview if that's an opportunity. So
that's interesting you say that. Ed Timmons said this to me when I worked at McAllister Machinery. We were a bunch of sales guys. And he goes, all I really want, because we'd work equipment deals and whatnot, he goes, all I want is invited to the prom, to the dance. I don't have to be the prom king. I just want to be invited to the dance. And I'm like, that really hit home to me. And it makes sense. You just want to be in the conversation.
Exactly.
And if you get the deal, awesome. If not, thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I always coach my kids to say this, and I do coach some other people in a sales thing, but always say thank you for the opportunity, and that just says it all. Like you tell that customer, if you lose with grace. Say thanks for the opportunity. Next time we'll get together maybe on it or something like that.
Yeah.
Versus, well, screw you. We didn't get together on this. Don't call me again. That's dumb.
Yeah.
We're not all going to win it. There's going to be one winner and 20 other people that's not going to get the job. But
personalities might click better, for one reason
Yeah.
or another, and that's okay. But yeah, I would just want to be considered.
yeah, I like that. Being considered is a huge piece. Talk to me a little bit about, because I'm genuinely curious, the sales. I see all these realtor teams. So when I was growing up, it was just a realtor. So it'd be like whoever's a realtor, and they would sell the house or the property or whatever. Now I'm seeing these teams is it under like a brokerage?
Yes.
Okay. So if you don't mind, walk us through that. How's that work?
So when I first got my license, I joined the Stewart Home Group. So that's been the only brokerage I've ever been with.
Okay.
After, let's see, I don't even know how many years it was now, honestly, but at our company, I started seeing other teams form. Mm-hmm. And Stephanie Stewart, she's our broker owner, and she was actually encouraging that and allowing that. And so in 2020, Chris got his license. So I guess that's when our team first formed, because he was my first team member. And so we formed
Have you ever thought of firing him?
I mean, no, he's pretty helpful. So
I'm kidding.
So no,
he's unfireable.
Yeah. So he got his license. We became I guess that's when we developed the Stewart Jones Real Estate Professionals
Mm-hmm.
team name, but it was more of a partnership at that time. And then a year or so later, maybe we started adding to the team, and so it's just been great because I think we have right now 7 team members. And
7 or 17?
7 team members. Yeah,
okay.
sorry.
No,
yeah, sorry. No.
Yeah,
7. And it's nice because I can use that as part of my marketing. We all work together. So, if one of us is on vacation, we've got,
gotcha.
someone else who can cover within the team. I mean, our whole office is great, and we, could reach out to anybody in the Stewart Home Group to help out. But it's nice having that, smaller group that we all kind of look out for each other. And
I do want to say that about Stewart Home Group, if I can.
Yeah.
They are wonderful.
Yeah, we've got amazing
Like
agents.
I think I know all of them, most of them maybe. And I tell you what, that's a heck of an if you call it an organization, whatever you call it, that's just a heck of a huge conglomerate of a team.
Yeah.
They're all high-end people.
Yeah, Stephanie does a really good job bringing people on. I mean, we've got 4 offices now, and
4?
Yeah, I think we have over 70 agents.
Well,
actually
I thought so. You got the one in Is that the main one?
Mooresville is the original one.
Oh, then we got one here in town.
In Plainfield,
Yeah.
and then she's also opened up a Martinsville office.
Okay.
And then Greencastle.
Greencastle, that's right. Yeah.
So yeah, we've really expanded over the last
Wow.
couple of years.
So and maybe you can't speak. I don't know if you can speak for her on that. Like, is she just wanting to keep growing, take over the state, take over multiple states?
I honestly don't know what the future
know.
plans are. I think it's just kind of what makes sense.
She's kind of a baller, isn't she?
Yeah, she's very
I don't know
open-minded.
her. I don't know her. I should probably talk to her. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely should.
Yeah.
She's pretty awesome.
I follow her on social, and I'm not on social media as much as I used to be, but she'll pop in there like on a car drive home, and I'll listen to it. I'm like, man, she gets it. Obviously, look at what.
Yeah, she's been
what
very
built,
successful,
But I'm not going to speak for her, but I can only imagine how proud and thankful and all the things, grateful to have all you guys, because sincerely, I'm not saying this, that is a hell of a team. Just all those people, they're all great.
Yeah,
they're all great. And
yeah.
then you have all these teams under it. It's like, man, you guys taking over the world?
It's been pretty neat to see the growth.
Yeah. Yeah. So the team, do you guys have like quarterly meetings with the team? Like, how often do you guys get together?
Yeah. So we do monthly team meetings,
Okay.
and a lot of the agents, well, I shouldn't say a lot, maybe it's about half and half of the agents on my team have other full-time jobs. So we do our team meetings in the evening so that we can, have the best chance of attendance and everyone, able to still, work their full-time job. And then if they're doing real estate part-time, now we about half our agents do real estate full-time as well.
You do it full-time.
Yes,
right?
I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that's cool that you have flexibility, or somebody can get flexibility. Do you see a benefit? Obviously, I think you do, but doing it full time versus part time? I
Oh,
mean, I think you have to
100%.
be all in.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I first started, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I just got my license to help out with our own personal flips, and then I realized I actually really liked it. And
So that's how you got into it?
yeah,
Okay.
so in 2015, Chris had been flipping properties for a larger property management company, and he decided, hey, I think I can do this on my own. And so he's like, but you probably should get your real estate license so that it makes sense. So I'm like, okay, sure, no problem. Our youngest was going to kindergarten at the time, so timing wise, it kind of worked out. And because I had stayed home with them, with both our kids when they were younger, and
Oh, cool.
so timing wise, it made sense. And so I got my license, really just intending to do our own stuff. And I didn't really know anything about real estate at the time, and I was actually in the middle of going through the class, and I was having lunch with one of the kids at their elementary school, and Stephanie just happened to be in there having lunch with one of her kids too. And I just told her, I'm like, hey, guess what? I'm getting my real estate license. She's like, oh, well, you should come, visit our office. At the time, we just had the Mooresville office. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. So I came in, she gave me a tour, and I decided that's where I wanted to be. But yeah, I mean, so I think I lost track of where
No, I do
the
it all the
question
time.
started.
And no, that's fine. To help me understand, like, so you just got into real estate.
Oh,
and
full time. That's
yeah,
what. Yeah.
yeah.
So I just kind of was just seeing how it worked out for me, because I hadn't been working full time, so it wasn't like I was doing a big career change at that time. So yeah, it was just kind of evolved into getting busier and busier, and I didn't have another job that I was trying to leave and start this from, where a lot of agents do. They are have a full time job, and they realize they want to transition into real estate, and so their switch might look a little different, where they feel like they need to get more established in real estate before they can totally leave their other position and do that full time, which is definitely understandable. But mine was a little different.
Yeah. That's interesting. I hired Carrie. You've met Carrie, I think. She's a project manager for us.
Uh-huh.
She stayed at home, or she homeschooled, sorry, but stayed home and raised her kids. And she got to the point where she wanted to do something. We're friends. We've been friends for a long time, but she reached out to me like, I kind of want to, I'm looking for a job, something to do. And I almost said, well, have you considered real estate? But I said, well, actually, I'm kind of I just let a PM go. And I said, I'm looking to hire another PM. But I want to do this differently. I want you to ride with me for a week. I'll pay you, and just see if you even like it. Because the last thing I ever want anybody in this world to feel is trapped. Like, oh, I got this stupid job, and I got to, I don't care. If you don't like it, I don't want you to get out of it. But she loves it. But I think there's something magical about people, and I would just say people. Usually it's a mom, but sometimes it's a dad, getting back into the workforce after being, because it's a very selfless job to stay home and take care of your kids. You're all in for that. But when you get into the career world, I think you bring that to it, and it shows, because a lot of times people will thrive and they make that job their own, and they take everything they always wanted to do and they make it big. And I feel like that's what you've done. I've not seen another realtor perform like you. Like, I don't see anybody. I mean, people copycat a lot of things in every industry in marketing, but I feel like you're always and have always been on that leading edge. Even the way you post, some of the content. I mean, it'll be a Sunday it'll be raining. You're out there with a raincoat, like, look at the houses. And I'm like, that's cool to me. Like, you're not afraid to get out there on crappy days, because let's face it, most of the days that you're doing it, it's raining, snowing, it's on the weekend, it's inconvenient. So how do you navigate through all that? And did you think at a certain point, this wasn't for me?
I mean, I think we just have to, as real estate agents, we have to work around other people's work schedule. So, most people, when they're looking to buy a house, they probably have a 9-to-5 job. So yeah, we're trying to show houses when they're outside of work, so a lot of times they can't leave or whatever. So that does turn into, evenings, weekends. It's just part of it. And never had a set work schedule, which I actually really like having, the flexibility, because that allowed me, when my kids were still in elementary school, I could still volunteer in their classrooms. I could go on the field trips. I mean, I never had that restriction.
Well, that was another thing you would always talk about. I've never stalked you. I've always looked at, and I follow all the realtors, so I just see what they do. And that was always one point of emphasis I recall, like years past, that you would say, still able to do that? Like you were almost selling the career. Like you were the only one.
I never thought about it that way.
But you were the only one that's ever done it. And that's why I'm like, daggone, this lady's got something different. Like she's selling a career. I mean, I recall posts that you'd stop at a gas station and you love boiled peanuts. I'm like, that's so random.
I know.
But she always like puts it there.
There's
and I'm
one
like,
in Martinsville that has them, and I always stop.
Yeah. And then you always have, this might have been at a football game because we always sit together because Chris and I are talking, but you always have like and I might be getting this wrong, like a Diet Mountain Dew in your purse at all times or something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of a comfort thing.
But
I have my purse pop.
But what I'm saying is like how do I say it? You're yourself out there, and I think people gravitate to that. And then you see people copying it. I'm like, I've seen that before. Lindsay did that 2 years ago, and you guys are thinking it's new. What I'm saying is you're a trendsetter on that. I don't know if you know that or not.
No, I just try to be consistent, I guess.
That's it. That's what consistency is the name of the game in anything. I mean, even anything is consistency. How do you come up with just all your stuff, your creativity? Like does it just come to you?
I mean, I guess I don't really think of myself as a creative person.
Most don't.
I
Most don't.
I definitely, am influenced by other, social media, whether it's, other real estate agents or, just other people I follow, and we'll see ideas. Or I'll see somebody post about something and it's like, oh, I mean, I do that too, but I never thought to post about it. Maybe I should, try to remember to take a picture next time I'm doing that, whatever that may be. There's trainings we can go through and we do. And so that's definitely helpful, with specifically marketing training because, that's not my background. So it's
not your background?
No, journalism is my background.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you write your offers, do you have to handwrite all that stuff?
No, we've got a computer program that does all of that.
Okay.
Dot Loop is what we use, so it's all pre.
So it's plug and play kind of a thing?
Yes,
Okay. Because that would be, like for me, woof, I hate being in the office. Like, I despise it. So when I have to write quotes, Carrie will literally say, Thursday, I don't want to hear from your butt, and you better have these done kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I hate being in the office because I hate typing. I wish AI would take over all that stuff. It probably will one day, but I like the creativity, being out in front of people, talking to people, solving problems. I love talking to people, but I also don't. So there's like when I'm home, I just want to be home and like leave me alone kind of a thing. But you can't escape the social media. You can't escape. People are always going to be calling, checking in. They need something from you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that you just got to figure out when to shut it off. But yeah, so Chris, and let's talk about him in the real estate. Does he show a lot of houses? He sells quite a few too, right?
Yeah, so I definitely am the primary one as far as the real estate goes, just because he's got the fire department, he's got construction.
Yeah. I was being, if he listens, I was just being kind.
But no, I mean, it's been great with him having his license because, if in a pinch, if I can't get to a house to show it, or if it's maybe in an area that I would feel a little less comfortable going to, maybe meeting someone for the first time, he'll either go with me or he can go in my place. And it's, that part's been really nice. I mean, if we're really busy and we need to hold multiple open houses for a weekend, then we can both hold one the same day. And so it's been really nice. And then also a huge part of him getting his license is, besides just being able to help me, was the construction piece of it. So we kind of, can sell that as a package deal. Like,
it's
hey,
a dream team.
Like, hire me, and then we've got, built-in help for inspection repairs, things like that are going to come up and need to be done, and we can, just get you all taken care of for the whole deal.
I think that, when I first met Chris and you guys, when we first moved to Plainfield and the kids were, I thought, man, that's a heck of a combination. Just having that, like, because I do get inundated, and we are bringing Honeydew's Home Projects back. I'll talk to you about that separately. Great. For the littler stuff. That's how we kind of started.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I want to target the realtors. Like, because there's probably a dozen that reach out to me probably every week or two, and they'll just throw that that list out, the inspection list. Like,
Yeah.
hey, go just quote this. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
It's a lot of
like
work.
it's like this thick.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me the bullet points and we'll quote them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I stopped doing that because it didn't fruit a lot, which is fine, but it's a time suck too. But it's like if I can get one guy or two guys that just does our little pantry remodels, our little stuff, and then do all our realtor punch lists, and I'll roll this out in probably June, and I'll let you know on it, obviously. But
Yeah.
I thought that piece was interesting that Chris could just, if there was an objection on selling a house, well, I'll fix it. I'll quote it right now and fix it. I'm like, dude, that's pretty awesome.
Or even just going and seeing the problem. If I'm at a showing with someone and they see something and they're like, man, we love the house, but this just seems like such a deal breaker, and I don't know if the seller would be willing to fix it. I'll say, well, let's just have him look and see. And a lot of times it's not as big of an issue as they think it is, or if they don't know about an issue and then it does come up on inspection and they just think it's going to kill everything and there's no way we're going to get through it. Then him looking at it and saying hey, yeah, that is a problem, but we can fix it, and then his price might be a lot better than a large company. Then we're able to work through and still get the buyer in the home that they really wanted, and it makes sense for them still.
That list can be exhausting. Do you feel like that's not come down, but maybe leveled off a little bit? Do you think people, with the market changes and shifting, does that kind of ebb and flow as well? Are they less picky because they just want the house?
Oh.
Or there's some that are just like, fix everything or I ain't buying it?
Yeah, so we went through so I feel like when I started, it was just considered kind of a normal market for several years, and then 21-ish, around there, for a couple years when the market just went crazy. Our job was really easy. Like, we did once we got the house under contract, it was easy, I should say, because we weren't writing inspection responses. Or sellers on the listing side, it was easy because we could just list houses as is, and nobody would bat an eye and nobody would ask for anything because they just wanted the house. And
that was 21,
like
20.
Right, COVID, like the few years there where when the rates were low and there was an inventory issue. Yeah, we just weren't even writing inspection responses.
And that was back when they were offering cash over, right?
Yes. Oh, we had all sorts of, situations where, yes, it was, way over asking price. There would be an appraisal gap where the buyer was guaranteeing to pay the difference if it didn't appraise for what they were willing to pay.
The buyer would pay the difference.
Yeah. So that would be part of their offer. They would say, hey, we're going to offer, so many thousand over list price. And if it doesn't appraise for that much, no problem. We'll just bring the difference in cash. They weren't asking the sellers to do anything. They just wanted the house and were,
at all
willing.
Costs.
Yes, exactly.
Which is kind of dumb because you're like, if you're paying that much over and then the market goes down.
But there were other people willing to do it if they were, and so people
I know,
just saw that. We never will advise
insanity.
someone, to not have an inspection. Like,
right.
That's, you definitely should have an inspection. But we had people saying, I don't even care, like, waive the inspection. And so, of course we can write it that way if that's what they want. But yeah, and then now, the market's kind of leveled off a little bit, and, we got back to doing normal inspection responses. And so a lot of agents who got their license during that time period hadn't really had any experience doing inspection responses. So we had to do some trainings on that just because it's kind of new having to do those again.
Yeah.
And even now that the market's gotten a little bit, we're seeing multiple offers again, I think most people are still wanting to do inspections and inspection responses. Now, they might offer, to not ask for something under a certain dollar amount, just alluding to the fact that, hey, we'll only ask for a big ticket item. We're not going to
like
nickel
a
and
new
dime
roof
you
instead of like a crooked,
exactly.
outlet or something.
Yeah, so we're seeing a little bit of that now, but yeah, it was interesting for a few years. We didn't really have to do inspection responses.
Yeah, it does, and it's interesting because I do pay attention to this too. When the market's hot, everybody becomes a realtor. When the market's hot for us, everybody's a contractor.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I'm not being mean or whatever, but you can spot them a mile away. You're like, that person will not last a year. That person that has no clue what they just got into, and it muddies the water. And it kind of, if it's done the wrong way, can, put a bad taste in people's mouths about whatever that industry is. Whenever something's hot, everybody flocks to it because they think they can do it or want to do it, and then half of them can, half of them can't, kind of a thing. But I noticed that when COVID, one of the biggest things that pissed me off, and I will never forget this, and whoever said it, I'm so glad they did because that chip's still sitting there. We gained a little bit of success. We've changed from honeydews to bachelor construction, and this one guy, I'll never forget him. He says, "Money, thanks to COVID, you're doing all right."
Oh gosh.
And I said something, some word, I won't cuss on this one. But I said, that didn't have a daggone thing to do with it, buddy. Yeah, I mean, people are in their homes and all that, but I said we were busy before and we're busy after. And I'm not giving that stupid thing any credit for our hard work, right?
Mhm.
It's so interesting to me how people want to off put like anybody's success, or if they're doing something good, it's well, it's because of that, and that always bugged me. But I tell my kids, especially Bo, well, all my kids really, stack that chip on your shoulder. Like use that for like, all right, cool. If that's how you want to think, I'm gonna go sell 10 more houses and just show you, bud, that it ain't that.
Yeah.
Do you deal with like with success comes haters, have people that are criticizing you, people that whatever. Like, do you deal with that in the real estate industry, or is it pretty more of an individual sport?
I mean, I don't. I don't think I've really had to deal with a lot of that. I mean, most agents, at least from my experience, and I don't. It might be different in different companies. I don't know, but we're all pretty supportive of each other.
Yeah.
Like we cheer each other on. We celebrate everyone's successes. If
Yes.
somebody, gets through a transaction that we know is really hard, like we're cheering for them.
Yes.
We're celebrating with them. I mean, we're all pretty good team players.
I've noticed that. That's why I asked the question. I'm interested. Chris Pearson, Coach P.
Yes.
I love that guy to death.
Oh, me
Holy
too.
smokes, I love that guy to death.
So glad to have him on board.
When he joined the team,
yeah.
real talk, I was like, what in the heck are you doing? You're a football coach. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I know. You're a football coach. And I know his start wasn't probably the easiest or whatever. There's a huge learning curve to that. But I'm so proud of that guy. I'm so proud of
doing
how.
so well.
Yeah. I'm so proud of his Monday motivation thing. I've never made it to his coffee thing, but I want him to know if he ever listens, like, people listen to that stuff. Just because you don't get that like or that thumbs up or that whatever that crap is, don't stop doing it because people watch it. And he is a huge, huge influence. Like on my son, Bo, he talks about Coach P every day. Every day. He shared a story with me. Bo got real sick, and it's OSP, so there's 3 OSP football practices or something. I'm a little unplugged on that part of it. He missed one because he had to go get a lung x-ray, and Bo he's taken his personal development, his sports, and all that stuff. He wants to take it to another level. I'm like, if you're going to do that, dude, that's what you eat, breathe, and sleep that. This is the best time to do it. You're 15. Well, he goes to practice, and he's always concerned what Coach P is going to say to him, and Coach says, hey, Basham, hey, them clinics are shut down this weekend, so no excuse on not making practice. And he comes back to the truck. He's all pissed off. He goes, Coach, he won't let it go, Dad. He won't let it go. I'm like, let what go? You riding your butt because you missed a practice? I said, that's what men do. We pick on each other to motivate you, and that's all he's doing. That's love, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah, he cares
and
so much
he
about
cares
his
more
players.
about you. He cares, I mean, not more than the parents, but probably right there. He's a really caring individual.
Yeah.
And I said, you got to learn to navigate through that. Like, the pros get picked on. If some guy does something stupid, you think they're going to let him? No, they're going to ride his butt. That's it. He's navigating because he's taking it so seriously,
Yeah.
And I'm like, loosen up a little bit. And even Coach said, man, it ain't that deep right now. It's freaking, May.
Yeah.
We don't play till October, so it's not that deep. But I admire his approach to kids. I admire his approach to the real estate. I'm so glad he's on your guys' team.
Yeah, me too.
And yeah, you guys. So do you guys have a lot of teammates that come and go? Like what, or how does that work? I mean, going to a different team, is that even a benefit?
Not really. I mean, we've had a couple that have left just because it wasn't a good fit, just real estate in general. But as far as our team, most of our team has been with us for years now. So, we have a pretty good fit. I mean, we're not trying to get, the most people. It's just, if someone, wants to join a team, whether they're new to real estate or, been in it for a while, they'll come to us and, we'll see if we're a good fit. Like we're maybe not going to be for everybody and that's okay. But we do a mentoring program, which I think is kind of a big positive for a lot of, especially new agents, because the goal of it is to, hold their hand through their first, handful of transactions and then be able to feel like they've got the tools to really be successful. And I mean, obviously if they're on the team, we're guiding them always, but that
you want them to win.
Oh, yeah, we want everybody to be successful.
How's that test? That's a tough one, isn't it? To get through that real estate test?
Yeah, so so I got my license in 2015, and I know my learning style. So I did in-person classes. So I drove up to the north side. It was I think it was 3 weeks straight all day was the class, and then
3 weeks straight all day.
Yeah, I mean like a daytime work schedule type thing, and but I knew that I needed to have no distractions. If I tried to do online, I just knew I'd be thinking about other things and get distracted. So I did in person, and then I scheduled my test for as soon as possible afterwards. And
you passed it the first time.
I did.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Did Chris?
He did. Yeah. And he did online.
He probably didn't even study, son of a gun.
When he decided to get his license, he locked himself in our home office for a week straight and just got through the online program. And then he did the same thing, and he drove. I don't know if it was Lafayette or he drove someplace fairly far away to take the first available slot he could
probably
get.
Drove to Florida. He was really fishing. That's what he was doing.
I mean, he would have.
Before we're done with this, I got to tell you like 3 stories about Chris.
Okay.
And then his dad.
Okay.
More importantly. Don't let me out of here without that, because they're funny stories. Fun fact, I sold, this is years ago, but I sold crop insurance for a minute, and I had to take that insurance test, and I am not a student at all. I'm a doer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm embarrassed. I'll tell you this, but it took me 7 times to pass that test, and I cried. Not like cried like a baby. I'm like, thank God I don't have to do that again. Because the test took like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's hustling through a test. And if you miss 1 or 2 and you don't get this certain percentage, well, you got to start over and you got to pay the fee. The fee wasn't the problem. It was like, I got to do this again.
Exactly. Well, and there's different versions of the test. So I think a lot of people who have maybe not passed it the first time and got a different version. I don't know. Mine was really math heavy. I just remember having to ask for a new whiteboard multiple times.
You said math heavy?
Yeah. Which, so I don't know if everybody's is that way. But yeah, there's different versions. It's more of an inconvenience than anything when you have to take it over and over again.
So do you have to take a different test? So real estate's not broad in terms of there's farmland you can sell. I mean, can you sell it all?
Yeah.
Or do you have to have specialists?
No. So everyone is considered a broker. So I could sell commercial, residential, anything within the state of Indiana.
And I know from experience, because we've used you guys, but you can get creative too. I want people to know this. It's really not for me. It's for everybody to know this too. It doesn't have to be for sale, and it doesn't have to be necessarily a bank approved deal. You can still use a realtor.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because the project that we did a couple years ago, we had to be super creative, and we were still able to use you guys.
Yeah.
Help people understand that a realtor's really, a lot of people think it's a negative thing to have a realtor, but it's not. They think, well, I'm going to lose X amount of money on the sale. Well, some of that you're going to lose anyway, taxes and whatever. What is for new home construction? We're getting into new home construction. Basham Construction is. We just inked our deal on our first new one. How would a guy like me get with real estate in terms of selling new houses? Is that even a thing?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we do.
So walk us through that.
Yeah, new home construction. And I mean, as far as, a benefit to the buyer is, and you've got somebody representing you, you've got somebody in your corner. If you've got an issue along the way with the builder, then we can be the liaison who goes, to the builder or the builder rep or, whatever the setup is for that company, and negotiate that for you or navigate through whatever the issue is, whether, it's related to something, not getting done that was agreed upon in the contract. When you get to the final stages, we help with the final walkthrough and, where they get to go through and put tape on all the things that they want touched up.
The punch list.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But from the beginning and depending on, if it's, there's different processes. If you're working with a custom builder or if you're, working for a larger production builder, they, have processes in place. But absolutely, I'd say it's always a benefit,
So if I come to you and say, hey, Lindsay, which I'm going to, I'm doing it right now. We're getting into new home construction. As you're out there showing people lots, I don't know. How do you get the plug of a builder? You just say, hey, I know a builder, or how does that work?
Yeah, so if we're just looking at property that's not already affiliated with a large community where there's a set builder for that whole neighborhood, then yeah, I mean, if somebody wants to buy that and they want to build, a lot of times they do. They ask, like, okay, what builders do you recommend for this area?
Okay.
And so, yeah, we're the ones a lot of times, if they don't already have somebody in mind, we're suggesting like, oh yeah, this company,
Okay.
would, be possible options. And then, at that point, then, setting up meetings to just, talk to those builders, see, if they're a good fit.
But you're along that whole process then.
Yeah, from the very first initial meeting.
That's probably way more time consuming than just selling a house then.
Yeah, I mean,
Or it could be.
it just depends. I mean, honestly, like, we're willing to be as involved as the buyer wants us to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, definitely we're always going to want to be there in the initial, very first introductory meeting. And then along the way, I mean, if we're going somewhere that has a showroom or, whatever that process looks like, we can go to all of the, design meetings. If the buyer doesn't want us there, we don't have to be. We can just be in touch with the builder throughout the process. But yeah, I mean, that's part of it. And I think, most buyers appreciate that. I've had several people come to me who they've gotten under contract with a new build without representation, and then they come and they're like, hey, we would really like to have you. And then a lot of times it's not possible because the builder won't let us get involved after a certain point.
It gets messy then.
It does.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be super messy. And then, like, people that are wanting to get into real estate, I think they need to understand this too, because it's such a transactional world right now, where even some of the guys that work with me, not for me, but with me, they're like, hey, I need this done. Well, what's it pay? I'm like, just frickin', and Chris will stare at the same, just frickin' do it. I'll pay whatever. Like, they're so worried about getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually the younger, or usually it's younger generation. But it's important for them to know, if you're going to get into real estate, there's a lot of time like this. You're going to go to meetings that you're not going to see an ROI on that meeting. But when the house is done, you're going to get paid, kind of a thing. It's similar to me. I don't get paid till the job's done.
Yeah.
That could be a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the same for you guys. You don't get Chris and I'll text him randomly. I'll say, hey, can I get a draw? He'll be like, yeah. Because we're constantly like, it's part of our world.
Yeah.
But real estate, you don't get a draw. You put all yourself out there, and if the deal falls through, you're out your time.
Yeah, I mean, and I think a lot of people don't understand that, which is fine. Like, I wouldn't expect them to, but yeah, I mean, we're not getting paid until there's a closing. So along the way, the showings, setting people up on searches, going to listing appointments if you don't necessarily get it. Like, any of our time, like, we're not getting a salary from the Stewart Home Group. Like,
well, I'm very mindful of that, and I'll never forget Jen. I would say that we were working on that project a couple years ago. I said, I don't want to bug Chris and Lindsay because I don't want to go look at that unless I want to buy it. And she's like, well, they'll show it to you. And I even said that to Chris. It's like, we'll show you 1,000 houses.
Yeah, it's part of it.
But I'm also like, well, if I'm not like 80% in, like, I'm going to buy this, I don't want to waste your time. Like, I'd rather just do a loop around it and, whatever. But I'm very mindful. I don't want to waste people's time, but I also know that's part of it, unfortunately.
100%.
And you have to kind of love that life. And it sounds like you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's great because, I mean, even if, if we're going to a property and if I kind of in the back of my head know that it's not going to be a good fit for this buyer, it doesn't bother me because I know that the more they see, at least on, the buying side, the more they see, the more, and I tell them this, the more they're going to have an idea of what they're looking for, especially if it's a first-time home buyer or, someone who hasn't bought a house in a long time. Like, they need to see several different types of houses because the more they look at, they're going to be like, oh, I actually, maybe don't want a second story or whatever it may be, whatever home feature, but you don't know until you're, actually in there looking at them. So, the goal is always for them to get in a home that they love. So it doesn't bother me to, go look at several, or, I've got buyers that I've been working with, over several years because they maybe don't have to move, but if the right thing came up, they would. So, I might get a call every 6 months and, something came up they want to go look at. Okay, no problem. I have no issue doing that whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, you know enough now, obviously, you can sniff it out, like the real buyers and the tire kickers and all that, but I don't know, it's just fascinating how many things can just take time that you may not get paid on. And people, they just need to understand that getting into that industry, but boy, it can be awesome too.
Yeah, I mean, it's very rewarding. It's very
it's a eat what you kill kind of a thing. So, are you competitive?
I am.
You're low key competitive, aren't you? Like if people that know you, you're so sweet, so nice and kind, but deep down, you're a stone cold killer, aren't you? You just want to sell it all.
I mean, I do set goals for
Yeah.
myself, and I definitely want to meet those goals. And if I don't, you know, might feel a little, disappointed in myself. But I mean, at the end of the day, the goal is to help people. It's, yes, I've got, those numbers in the back of my head, but, every year is going to be a little bit different.
What motivates you? What drives you?
I think it's me. Like I just have always been very self-motivated. Just, I don't know.
Where's that come from?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Do you know much about the Enneagram?
Yeah, I actually do. Quite a
okay.
bit about it.
So
I'm a 7, by the way.
Never would have guessed.
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I'm a pretty textbook 1.
Okay.
So I think that kind of just fits my personality as far
What's
as.
Chris?
I don't know. He's not really interested in it.
I don't. Chris, if you listen, don't do it. It takes forever to take that stupid test, but I know where I'm at on it because I've done it twice.
Yeah, he has zero interest in it.
Yeah.
I've tried.
Do you listen to personal development, read? Like, do you do any of that?
I wish I could say yes, but no, I really love my fiction books.
Okay. Well, that's fair enough.
I mean, I've listened to, a handful of podcasts.
Do you listen to Learning to Fly?
I have, yes.
It's up and coming. It's right underneath Rogan. He's 1, we're 2. No, kidding.
I've never listened to him.
No, he's good too. He, contrary to what people think of him, he's super, super neutral. He's super kind. He's super awesome. A lot of people, like my brother-in-law for a while, it's like, that guy's, I'm like, no, he's not. Like, listen to him. He may have used to be like that years ago, but now he's as even Steven as they get. I'm off track here, but yeah. Anyway, I don't know where we're going with that, but let's talk about somebody that you and I both miss like hell and love to death, Toby Keith.
Yeah.
You're the only person that I've ever met that has a license plate that says Toby Keith on it.
Yeah.
So, just talk about him because I know you love that guy. You met him, you knew him, all that stuff.
Yeah, he was great. I just went to my first concert. Chris and I went to see him. I think it was in 2005, and then just got to where we would go every year just when he came to town, and I just really liked his music, and then eventually started traveling to see him in other states and got to meet him a few times. Probably the coolest experience was when he was at the inaugural Mattingly Charities event in Evansville.
Okay.
He was the musical guest. He had known Don Mattingly from his time in baseball, and he said, if he ever started a foundation, he would come and be the entertainment. So we bought tickets to that event, and we got to meet. It was him, Don, and then Albert Pujols was there.
Oh, okay.
And so part of the deal was you got to go get your picture with them, and we had to file in behind them. And Chris nudged me. He's like, "Now's your chance. Talk to Toby." I'm like, "Hi." I'm actually here to see you. And so we got our, group photo or whatever, and then they were auctioning off a autographed guitar at that event. And so
Chris better got that.
Yeah, I made sure that
Yeah.
he didn't stop until the bidding was done, and we did. And so afterwards, I waited out by his tour bus holding this guitar. I remember it was exactly 32 degrees. I was not dressed to stand out in the cold, but I was bound and determined I was going to catch him and see if he would personalize it to me. So I stood out there, and eventually his driver, who was waiting in a car to take him to the airport when he got done, was like, "Hey, come sit in here and stay warm."
Wow.
So I did, because he was on his tour bus, talking to all the guests that came, and I think Don and his wife were on there, and I don't know who else, but I'm like, eventually he's going to have to come off that bus because I know he's going to the airport. So I stood there, and he finally came off, and talked to him, and he personalized it to me. And
what was he like? Was he cool?
So kind.
Yeah.
So kind. He's like, "Hey, what can I do for you?"
Is he a big guy?
Oh, he was 6'4", I think.
Yeah, it's pretty tall.
Yeah. And I mean, so yeah, we actually got to meet him 2 other times after that, and probably the second coolest was it was in Indiana again. I actually went down early. I was trying to win a radio contest for a meet and greet. You had to dress the most patriotic.
Yeah.
And I didn't get chosen. But Chris had went and talked to somebody else he saw kind of off to the side that he knew worked for him. Was like, "Hey, do you have any extras?" And he's like, "No, I'm sorry, I don't." So we went into the concert. I always try tried to buy pit tickets and get in the front row. So we'd go several hours early
Yeah.
and wait in line. And Chris didn't necessarily love doing that, but he did it for me.
Yeah.
And we were in the front of the pit, and that guy came up. He's like, hey, like, we've got these extras. And he gave us a couple of extra meet and greets. And so when it was our turn to meet Toby, I asked him, I said, hey, I actually have a favor. I said, because my very favorite song of his is Dreamwalkin'. And I said, I don't know if it's on your set list, but is there any way you can play this tonight? And he's like, yeah, I think we can do that for you.
Really?
And yeah, and so they because he had an old school part of his set where in the middle where he'd do his 90s songs. And so after the show, I got the set list from the stage. I stood up there and was like waving my arms like, hey, can I have that? And they handed it to me, and I looked at it and it was not on the set list. So he actually did switch out a song and played that instead.
He did. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
What's you already said is that your favorite song?
That's my favorite song ever. Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
I mean, I like all of his music, but that's
Yeah.
Like
Man, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, you still go to a lot of concerts. I know I remember this, like when he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible. But everybody that knows you, I remember them sending like, "We're so sorry, Lindsay," to you directly.
And
I was one of them. Like,
yeah.
I'm so sorry. I know you like all this stuff.
Yeah, it was so thoughtful, and yeah, I mean, I've been to a couple since then. I don't know that I've gone to as many as I used to. Just I don't know, not for any particular reason, but that was my favorite.
Did you drag Chris to all these?
All the Toby ones, yeah, he would be a good sport. He doesn't necessarily come to other concerts as much. He doesn't really prefer it.
I love going to concerts. It's the thought of getting there and getting home.
Well, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's in and
I don't
standing and the
drive,
waiting.
Because I'll probably have 2 or 3. I'm a lightweight anymore. I used to drink a lot. I don't hardly drink, but if I have 2 beers, Jen will say, "You ain't driving." She's my chauffeur. She don't hardly do nothing like that.
Well, like I took the kids to Morgan Wallen, and like he drove us down there, and he picked us up. He just didn't necessarily care if he was there.
Oh, man, that's crazy. So I know Toby's gone, and that's horrible, and there's no replacement for that. But like, is there another artist that you're just as interested in, or is that just Toby is it?
No, I mean, I definitely love other artists. I mean, I
you
like
love music. And
yeah,
all that.
I like country music, but no,
he's the GOAT.
Yeah,
he was. God Lover's on my favorite song.
Okay, yeah,
it's on my playlist. But I want to talk about Chris for a minute.
Okay.
That son of a gun is my favorite. I've got some stories I have to share with you. He'd invite me. I think I've been on 2 golf outings with help me out here.
The Stewart Home Group Hero outing.
That one, which is a wonderful event.
It is, yeah.
It's a wonderful event. And is it Baileywood?
Yeah, Bailey and Wood.
Those guys are so cool. It's just a cool place to be.
Yeah, they're awesome. Actually, their marketing team they do a lot of our training. And yeah, they're great.
I'd love to talk to those guys at some point. I'm so inspired by them, and I look up to what they do and how they do it. And when I'm there, I kind of feel like Ron White said it best. He's like, "Man, I was able to go golf where Tiger Woods is." He's like, "Nobody's stopping me." Like, that's how I feel when I'm at that event because it's done so well. Mm-hmm. It's done that well. But Chris, gosh dang, I have so many stories. I'll share this one. He's a big guy. I'm not a small guy either, but we got these 2 big guys in this golf cart. He has this package of marshmallows. And Chris don't talk a whole lot. You got to get him to talk. I can get him to talk. Yeah. But I said, big boy must be diabetic or something. He made some sugar. I didn't say nothing. I was like, I don't know what he's doing. So we light a cigar and we're rolling down. It's early in the morning. And there's some serious golfers, and him and I aren't serious. And these guys are up our butt, like we're just pushing us, like they're constantly on our tail. And he goes, and this is how Chris talks, "Gee whiz, these guys are driving me crazy." And he goes, "Hand me those marshmallows." I said, "Big boy's hungry." So I opened them up for him. I said, "You want?" He's like, he looks at me like, takes them, he rips the bag open, takes about a handful of them, and he chucks one out. I said, "Oh, you're feeding the birds?" Chucks another one out. We're going. I said, "I got to ask you, what the hell are you doing?" He looks at me like I'm dumb. Like, "What do you think I'm doing?" He goes, "Look behind you." I looked behind me. I said, "Hell, those look like golf balls." He's like, "Exactly. These guys are pissing me off." I fell in love with your husband at that moment. I was laughing so hard because the guy behind us was so serious that we got to the halfway point where you get the burger and you have a beer and all that stuff. This guy's like, some MFers throwing marshmallows. They put them in the cups. They're on the greens. I can't find my ball. And him and I are losing our minds laughing. And I said, well, what are they going to do? Come up to you? What are they going to do to you? Nothing. He's like, exactly. So it's just funny. I guess you had to be there.
May or may not be invited back now.
He may not be, but I was invited back the last time, which I'll only share 2 stories. I golfed with him again, and his dad was there, and he's a hoot. And then Chris's brother. Yeah. So it's Chris's brother, his dad, and him and I.
Yes.
And we had a great time, and his dad won all the raffles. Well, Chris wanted to stay back, and I'm like, I kind of got to get home. So he's like, well, my dad will take you home. I'm like, okay, no problem. I get in his truck, and he backs his truck up. He's talking. He's on his phone. He's doing something, and he's backing up. I said, hell, you going to hit that car? He's like, oh, yeah, thanks. Anyway, we get over there. He curbs it. We fall over the curb. He's got this brand new $80,000 truck. Rim it. I'm like, what are you doing? We get home. We're swerving over. I texted Chris. I said, if I make it home, it'll be a miracle. This guy should not be driving. He's like, he's been driving like that ever since I've known him.
Well, he rides with him to Florida every year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just hilarious. My dad's not around anymore. I like that. I like seeing that father-son connection, that relationship, because a lot of times, if you're fortunate to have your dad for a long time, you get to see the full circle of him, of that man. You see the hard work, the raise, and the retirement. Then I don't really care about a lot of this crap. It's just interesting to me how their dynamic is, and if you don't know them sitting next to each other is polar opposite. Chris is a giant, and his dad's not.
No.
You know what I mean? But the stories that come out of that guy's, oh my gosh, it's so fun. Yeah. It's so fun. I won't repeat them, but they're a blast. So they mean the world to me. They always have. But yeah, how's that relationship been? He's in construction as well, so.
Yeah, he actually. So our house, when we built our house, I think that was the last, because he was custom home builder for years, and I think it was the last one he did before he retired from that, and he's still working. He's almost 80, and
he'll never stop.
No, he does commercial mainly now.
Yeah, I love, like, when we're at football games. I know exactly where I'm sitting. Or vice versa. Like, we always get together, and it gives us an opportunity to compare war stories, because we've had some. Chris is, we did a couple downtown Indy. He helped me with. Chris did.
Yeah.
And remember that one? I don't know if he told you. We had one job where it was where I needed a drywall hanger. And we had these. We know who we're talking about, but these guys come in, and it was a freaking nightmare. And what ended up happening is they ended up hanging it and finishing it, and then this other sub got mad or something, and they went in and cut wires and cut plumbing and tore the place apart.
I forgot about that, but yes.
I called Chris. I said, man, it was a nightmare, literally. I said, dude, I'm dealing with a nightmare. And he was right there. Chris was right there. He was there in 30 minutes. He's like, man. And I didn't need him in a way, but I needed him, if that makes sense. I don't even know if that makes sense. He was just there. And that's one thing I kind of want to end on is, like, there's value in friendship, and there's value in just people that's got your back. Like in real estate, like in your job, you have to have people you can count on and trust that they have your back, because sometimes deals go south and you need help. Well, that was no different. Like, I was like, dude, I'm hurt. And he's like, I'll be right there. And he helped me with the plan, and we got through it together. And he didn't even get paid for it. Man, I probably owe him some money now, don't I? Anyway. No. But that's what I'm getting at is it's nice to have people in the industry that just have your back, that support you, love you, and will help you through it, because we're not all perfect. We can't do it all ourselves. But how many houses have you closed in one? What's your record?
Oh, in a
You're
year?
a competitor. No, just in one day.
Oh, in one day?
Like, what's your?
Oh, I've maybe had 3 closings in a day.
That's a lot.
Before.
That's insane. Do you remember those days?
Yeah, I mean, because because you got to juggle. Like, okay, I got to be here this time, but I mean, it just sometimes falls that way.
Yeah.
I mean, you might go, a period of time you don't have any closings, and then they all stack up at a certain time of the month.
I'm curious on your answer because I already have mine. People's heard it before. When you sell a big deal, like some jobs are huge, like some are big ones, some are small. When you sell a good one, let's say you sold a good one today. What are you doing? What do you do like to celebrate?
I don't have anything like specific. I always do know when Chris and when we close on a flip that we've sold, which we actually haven't done one in a little while because he's kind of been doing more rentals. But when we do a flip, we usually just go out to lunch after closing to celebrate. I mean, not have anything fancy, just to acknowledge, like, hey, like we did this. This was, a lot of work. I don't know. I mean, if we're on vacation and I've had, a good month or good year, or I don't know, I might buy a purse or something.
Oh yeah, well, that's normal. He buys one too. He's a man satchel. I always told guys this, and I listened to the Real AF. It's another podcast. But when I was selling equipment, that was probably my favorite. I love what I'm doing now. Love it to death. But when I was selling ag equipment, it's huge ticket items, and I don't have a money tolerance. Like, I don't care if it's $2 million or $200. It doesn't matter. We're going to sell it. Mm-hmm. I would always coach my other sales guys that go crush one and celebrate on the car ride to your next appointment, and then get amnesia, and then rinse and repeat. That's what I tell them.
Yeah.
I never, like, 'cause some guys, like in that industry, people would drink beer at lunch. And I'm like, I don't understand that. That does not compute to me. How can you drink beer at lunch and work? Like, that doesn't mix with me. And that's how they would celebrate. Well, they'd only sell $1 million a year. I wanted to sell 10 to 15 to 20 million a year, right? That was the mentality. In order to do that, you got to get super, like, forget about it. We're on to the next one. Like Bill Belichick, he just came out with a book, by the way. I can't wait to read it. The Art of Winning. It's similar of a mindset. It's like, get your job done, and there's always somebody bigger and badder than you. So just know that. Celebrate real quick and forget about it. That was my little way of getting through it. But anyway, well, let's wrap this thing up. What else you want to talk about?
I don't know that I have anything else.
You done? You done? Okay. Well, we sincerely appreciate you being on. I know this isn't your thing. It took a little coaxing to get you here, not really, but I think the world of you. I think you are second to none, sincerely.
Well,
and you are the queen of real estate. I sincerely mean that. I told Chris that. I'll have him on separately.
Okay.
We'll talk about whatever, fishing probably, and all our hunting stories. But keep leading, because you're inspiring more people than you know, and more industries than you know. So I've been following you for a long time, and I don't copy what you do, but I admire what you do, and I see other people doing it, and I know where it comes from. So that you should feel good about that and proud of yourself. So keep leading, and anybody watching this show, give Lindsay a follow. Support her and her team. The show is sponsored by Basham Construction. Give us a like. Hit us up in the comments what you thought of the show. If you have anything you want to say or be on the show, I'm not hard to find. So y'all have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.